Okay, let's go, because this morning we're going to have two classes. The first one would be about the use of the internet, not only from a moral point of view, not only for speaking about the moral problems of some contents, but how I can do a wise use of the internet, and so as not to waste time, not to do things that go against my vocation or against the lifestyle that I want to carry. So perhaps in the old times it would be possible to say don't use internet in some specific moments of your life. The example, when you are working, when you are studying, when you are in your office, use the internet only in a corridor or in a specific place. Now it is not anymore possible. It is not realistic, because internet is something which is absolutely inside our lives, and we have to use it to schedule our excursion, to schedule our trip when we have to travel, when we have to study, because now, and it is very comfortable, I don't need to come here with 10 books to study in the afternoon. I just need to wear them inside my computer, or even many of them are in the net, in the web. So it eases a lot our lives, but it has also challenges, because in the same time I don't need to take with me example the movies for the annual course. Just I need to take them from the internet. The problem is that everything is in the web, the good and the bad, the things that help me to rest and the things that make me to waste my time, the things that I need in that moment and the things that I don't need but they catch my attention. There is one test which is called the Farningham test, I think, which is it works for checking how much addicted you are from tobacco, from smoke, and it consists simply in saying how much time does it spend till the moment you wake up and you smoke the first cigarette, because the smokers know it is very pleasure to have a cigarette after meals, after breakfast. That is a smoke that I have never smoked, but I have lived with a lot of people who smokes. And then they say that it is a very nice moment. Instead, the first cigarette, when you have just waking up, it's not so, it's even nasty, because you're in a hurry to wake up, to have a bath and to prepare yourself as soon as possible, but meanwhile you need your doses of nicotine, because otherwise you feel very uncomfortable. So the question is how much addicted you are from the internet. You can also measure that, how much time it passes between the moment in which you wake up and you check, and how much time you spend, because in some moments it can be even necessary to see if I have received an important message. Other times it is not necessary at all, and it can wait until the end of breakfast. Sometimes I can do the exercise. Remember that the muscle of waiting is the same for doing a good use of my time and for avoiding temptations, moral temptations. Then also how much time we lose of family life, how many times we are speaking with another person and I say, yes, listen to me, that I am listening, keep speaking because I am listening to you. But then you realize that you are not listening to the other person. How many times you are watching a movie and no, I'm just going to check this to send a message and something happens the most important thing of the film, and I lost that. How many goals of my favorite team or basket I lost because no, it is a boring moment, and when I see again, everybody is shouting because it was a goal. How much time of my work I lose because of the internet, how many hours of my sleep I lose because of my internet, because I wanted only to send a couple messages, but then I spend a couple hours doing things that when I realize, I say I am stupid, because it does not help me to rest or nothing. And then not just internet, but all these screens have an effect that is, as they have a bright and UV light, they tell the brain that it is day. So if you are in front of a screen 1 hour before going to bed, your brain goes to bed saying it is still daytime, so I don't have to get sleep. You can reduce but not cancel completely this problem by using the night mode, but it does not work completely. Finally, how many times of prayer we have lost because of the internet, because even if I am with other people, they can think that I am reading some spiritual book, but in fact I am just checking things that do not have anything to see. You can say that, okay, there are side effects that nobody wants them, but that is we have to manage them. It is not exact. There was 2-3 years ago a documentary, perhaps some time more, which by Netflix, which is called The Social Dilemma, in which people who worked developing programs in the internet, they said that they studied the psychological weaknesses that we have to take advantage from them, to make us use the internet as much as possible. The more you are in the internet, the more they earn money because of publicity or because the use of the web. So it means that when you enter in the internet, you must know that the web wants to catch your time. Otherwise, you are acting in a naive way, and probably you will be more vulnerable so that it catches your attention. So we are going to speak in a positive way. We are also going to speak about the problems, but we're going to see from our own point of view as workers, members of a family, and so, how can I improve my use of the internet, and how I can help other people in mentoring, spiritual direction, and so. The first thing is that we need to have reasons. Why do I want to change, to improve my use of the internet? The first thing is to be free. To be free to use it the time that I want. To be free to say yes, to be no, to say no, to spend an hour studying, or to do my 30 minutes of prayer without interruptions because of the temptations. Then also to bring out the best of yourself, and not to do only half the good you might do because you spent a lot of time doing things that perhaps you didn't need and are in contrast of your ideas and your values. Also, be conscious of the human and supernatural damage that you can suffer because of the internet, because of addiction, because of the immoral images that you can find, because of wasting your time. So the question is, do you want to? Do you want to improve your use of the internet? Do you think you need it? Are you happy with the time you use the internet? It is possible, but you have to give up something. It is not possible when you have to schedule the time at which you are going to wake up a morning in which you have to work. Some people prefer to get up early because they want to be calmly during the shower time, and so other people prefer to put the clock as late as possible and then to hurry up a little bit, but then to be punctual to the morning prayer, and then to have breakfast calmly, and then to go to arrive to the work early. It is not possible. You have to choose. Do you want to sleep a little less, a little more? But then you have to adjust the speed in which you are going to have your bath and you're going to prepare yourself, and then you have to adapt also the time you will spend in breakfast according to the time that you have, or you have to accept that you will be late to your work. It is not possible to have everything because time is the limited resource that we have. Not money, but time. Furthermore, we use money to save time. We use money to buy the time of other people. I don't want to prepare my food, or to cook, or to clean, or to write this paper, so I buy the time, not the expertise, but the time of a person, so as to she does it for me. Then take also advantage of your spiritual life. We are going to speak mainly from a human point of view, but we cannot forget that we have to sanctify our life. We have to live in the presence of God, and we want to do God's will in all our life. So it is important to take advantage also from that point of the way in San Josemaria. If you want to be holy, do what you want and stay in what you are doing. And the person has to want it. We can help other people, we can advise them, we can advertise them, we can say, I think you should, but if they don't want, it will be impossible for them to change. So we have to work not only on their will, but we have to change also on their minds. In this class, we're going to speak about 3 different frames. The frames of how to use the internet during my work, how to use the internet during my rest time, or the time which I am not working, and then when the use of internet has gone out of control. The common idea is put obstacles between you and a wrong use of the internet. The more obstacles are between me and my cell phone, the more difficult will be that I do a bad use of the internet. As an example, here it won't be the same if I have my cell phone here in front of me telling me, check me, check me, check me, or if I put that here and I cannot see it. So let us begin by the first frame, which is during work. What can I do? Delimit times. That is, decide before beginning to work what you are going to do, during how long, and when are you going to stop. Independently of depending on what is your job, you will have to spend more or less time during a task. As example, it is not possible to say I am going to be in front of my computer writing a paper for all the morning for 4 hours, because your efficiency will decline. You have to say I am going to work for an hour and a half, depending on the difficulty of the work. The same if you work in a school, you have to prepare a class, you have to correct exams, and so on. How long will be this piece of work? And then have a piece of paper at hand, because a lot of ideas will come to your mind to interrupt you. So take a note of them, because you can be legitimately worried that if I don't do it now, I will forget to say happy birthday to my friend, to buy the plane ticket, okay, take note. And then when the time has passed in which you had to be concentrated on working, then you can do a break, and during that break you can do something that is less demanding, as example, to buy a ticket plane in the internet. Yes?
I think you mean set time, or like put set times, no?
Yeah, set times. So ask yourself, do I need a computer? Because if I am going to correct the exams of my students that are written, perhaps this screen in front of me is a motive of distraction. So if I don't have to do that, if I have to do a program that do not need that I use the computer, and sometimes it is easier to work on a white piece of paper, and then if necessary I will take a picture to maintain it, or I will write it. But sometimes it is easier to work on paper, as we used to do in the last millennium, than to do it in the computer. And if you don't use the computer, take it out from your sight, because it is a motive of distractions. Obviously, I am going to do a lot of concrete examples that anyone has to decide if fits with her own circumstances or not. Then if I need a computer, for example, because I am going to write a paper or a program or something that is better to use the computer, ask yourself, do I need the internet? Because not for every work it's necessary to work with internet. If not, you can activate the plane mode so as to get a little farther from you the possibility of accessing internet. If you have the temptation to check your WhatsApp, Instagram, Gmail, or wherever, you will have to press the button of cancel plane mode, and it will remind you that you are going out of your frame. My friend was staying 1 hour without the internet writing this paper, and for that paper I do not need internet, obviously with flexibility. Then if you are with your computer, close the unnecessary windows. Here is a screenshot of my computer, and as you see, you can have a lot of windows that are attracting your attention, mostly when some of the windows show you notifications saying you have received a message, or there is something waiting for you, that it is very difficult to cancel the temptation of visiting those pages. So the best way is just cleaning the windows that you have opened to the minimum that you will really need. And the same in the back bar with all the applications. If an application of an app or the internet and so is catch too much your attention and is too tempting for you, cancel it. Then it has helped me a lot when I am working. It was a discoverment preparing this class. Leave the cell phone out of reach of your hand. And it works both for the work and when I am reading a novel in my room. Because if I am reading a novel and in my chair, sofa or so is a cell phone, I will check it more than necessary. when the reading is a little harder for me, and then it will be also a temptation, because when the reasoning is getting harder, your mind can tell you, take a rest. If you persevere, you can find the solution to that problem. If you concede the distraction, then when you go back to your paper, you have to begin again with a concentration. So I learned that when I work with a computer, the cell phone, which is the usual cause of distractions, because more or less monthly, computer means work, cell phone means messages and text and so. So what I do is putting the cell phone out of my hands in such a way that I will have the temptation, but even for laziness, I will keep writing because it is too far from me. So it is a good motive, a good technique, I think. Then when we are out of work, we go to the second frame. We can, and it's important not to use the internet when we are bored, because then we are more vulnerable. When we are tired, when just it is the only thing that I have in hand, it means that you must have alternatives at hand. What does it help you to rest? And we spoke about the other day, you can pray a part of the rosary, but you can also listen to music, you can read a chapter of a novel, you can listen to music, you can go for a walk, a lot of things. If you don't know what helps you to rest or helps you to do something minimally useful when you are tired, then you will go to the easy way. When you enter into the internet out of work, have a clear target and a time in which you are going to navigate. I'm going to the internet to watch the highlights of my basketball team. And I will watch a couple highlights of 10 minutes or half an hour, or I'm going to watch a whole movie of 2 hours and a half. That is the reason by which I will enter in the internet. Close frame, always with some flexibility. But I'm going to see what's new in YouTube or in Instagram, or I'm going to watch a few humor videos. Usually it doesn't work, and you will spend twice or 5 times the time that you usually pretended, or even you didn't pretend anything because you have not thought before. Then keep reminders inside, some image that helps you to stop, and that tells you that you have to go back to your work, your task list, or from a supernatural point of view, image of Our Lady, cross or something like that. Use the safe mode, and now we are entering in a also moral question. The safe mode is very useful because it prevents you to receive immoral or violent contents, and you can configure it in Google, and you can configure it also in YouTube in such a way that you don't receive the temptations when you do a research, or you are looking for anybody. You don't receive those contents that could be against your values. Then use the app or the browser. It depends, because the app usually helps you to do the frame that you are going to use. An example, for reading a newspaper, usually you save time if you go to the app and not to the browser, because the browser offers you a lot of links and other information, and so instead the app offers you 12 or 20 news. Remember, you have to schedule before how long are you going to stay reading the newspaper. So in that case, it usually is better to use the app. Instead, if you want to reduce the use of an app, mainly the social, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and so, it can be better for you to put it harder, not to use the app, but to use the browser to enter the email address and to enter your credentials, your password. It makes it so slow and so unpleasant that it prevents you to use it when it is not necessary. It is very useful when you say, I am checking WhatsApp a lot of times in my day, and for me it is a waste of time. So I'm going to put that barrier, about which we have spoken to in the beginning, which is that whenever I go into, I'm going to put it a little more unpleasant, and I have to spend so much time that it is not worth it for me. Cancel or reduce notifications, both sounds or vibration, because it is very appealing for me. If I am doing anything and I listen that there has been any new in the world, it can be that the new Pope has been elected, but it can be also that one of my colleagues, a friend, is just asking me, what are you doing? So one thing is important to know, the other thing can wait for weeks. Anyway, it is better to reduce at the minimum the notifications. Then when you don't need the data of the Wi-Fi, just switch it off. As example, when you are in the oratory, when you are praying, you have a lot of ideas now. I should check a message. No, I'm out. I am only for God. And I would recommend also to do that in the family moments, so that too you can be focused with the people with which you are. Then work on the dynamic of the delayed gratification, which is distant the checks in the media, and subscribe from groups. Groups make you lose a lot of time. Do you need really to be absolutely updated of all the people that you have met in your life? But probably not. For example, when I go to a workshop, usually it's very useful for the announcement to do a group. And just when I am leaving, I have learned to make me out and say, thank you very much. It has been a pleasure to be with you. Bye-bye. If you need me for anything, write me. Because otherwise, probably you have the experience, only during that day, you will receive about 60 or 600 messages of all the members saying, arrived home, a picture, thank you very much, and the other, thank you for the Groucho Marx, thank you for thanking me. And then we receive a lot of messages that are absolutely unuseful. If something needs anything from me or has a problem, she can write me directly.
What's distance checks?
Not to check too close to times, but take a time between checks.
Don't check
The media.
the time in between checking your phone.
I got it.
The set of life moments in which you are going without the internet. For example, excursion day. It helps a lot to enjoy the environment, enjoy the nature, to enjoy the conversation, to rest and to have your mind a little more free, and encourage real and outdoor relationships. It helps a lot. If it is possible for you, it is one of my crusades, but everywhere, but especially in the United States, because I have seen that you use it very much. I'm sorry for the business of the gyms, but if it is possible for you, do a sport in the open because of your mental health. It is not the same at all to go to a park for riding, biking, or hiking than to go to a closed environment with artificial light, with walls more or less beautiful, but absolutely different from a natural park. And then it is not the same to send and receive messages than to speak to the people and face to face. As Pope Francis, I liked it very much in Fratelli Tutti when he says to look at the faces of people and you see the bright of her eyes, her breath, even her sweet. So you are seeing so many aspects of the person that you lose in a online meeting. Then when you have finished and you say, I don't need the computer anymore, shut it down and close it. I learned it when in some weekends, as example, or some afternoons that could be free for me, but I have realized that if I find the computer open, even if it is suspended, and only pressing a button, I will have access to all of it, then it is very appealing for me and I use it even if I didn't want. So I learned that if I want to do other things apart from the use of the computer, what I have to do is when I have finished in Saturday evening, I shut it down, I close it and I hide it. And then it does not attract my attention. Do not navigate before going to sleep, we have already said, and then delete the history. Not only because you have entered a content that you want to leave any trace in the future, but because the internet wants to offer you what you want to hear, and she will offer you a lot of appealing contents that you really needn't. If the internet, let's say YouTube, knows that you like Korean movies, whenever you enter, you will receive a lot in the right bar, a lot of nice Korean movies that will catch your attention, even if you didn't want, it was not your frame. So let the internet forget your preferences.
Actually, I find incognito mode is the one that...
Yes, it is an possibility. Yes, incognito mode is a way of not having history. Yes.
There's such a thing.
Say navigate, you mean like browse or surfing?
Yeah, in navigating, I mean going to the browser. So in general, doing some moments of digital detox that help a lot, even from the point of view of the brain. That is a very nice theology of TV shows or internet shows that is called Brain Heart World. It has been done by the Mormons, if I'm not wrong. And it is very interesting because it shows from a very scientific point of view and secular point of view how the internet affects your brain, the way you think, your heart, the way you feel and you relate with the other, and the way you feel and your mood, and also the world, the way you relate and how a bad use of the internet worsens the world.
The world or world?
World. Brain, heart, world. Then the third frame, that is when the internet is out of control. And that when the person cannot get out of a use that is excessive or even it is immoral, not punctually, but in as an attitude, as a vice, or even as an addiction. I'm going to be here a little quick because there are 2 chapters in the book, in my book, The Formation of Affectivity, that deals about this problem, mainly about the use of pornography, which is a very huge problem, not only for adolescents, not only for males, also for all people, also for women, and many times we don't know how to deal with it. A specific word deserves adolescents, minors, because it is a problem. How can I speak with those issues with minors? I found this problem in 2019. I was doing a course in Spain with professors of school and people who work in mentoring with adolescents, and they said now in the era or in the time of abuses, it is very hard to speak about those issues. So we had the idea, what about to have a book that you can tell the person, read this book and we will talk about whatever you want. It can help to give the basic doctrine from a Christian anthropology based on the theology of the body of John Paul II. So from a positive way, 3, 4, 5 chapters, and then some ideas specifically about the use of the internet. So I wrote the book in Spanish. Now it is in 7 languages available, also in English and in Chinese, because they saw that because there is not. I must acknowledge that the book is more for males and high schoolers, for boys. But and then I have some ideas to sit down again and write something specific for girls, but by the moment I didn't have the time to do that. So let us go to the ideas. When can I say that this person, independently of the contents, and not only speaking about pornography, but she's checking too much the internet? I am seeing her all the time when she's in the corridor, when we're speaking, and she's not able. Is it possible that it's a vice or an addiction? So let us go to the characteristics of addiction according to the DSM-5, the Bible of the psychiatry. There are 2 main characteristics of addiction. One of them is abstinence, the craving, the sense of anxiety that people have when they don't have the smoke, the drug, when they receive the will of gambling, of drinking, and so. It can be with substances, with drugs or alcohol, but also with actions. And some people, when they receive the stimuli of I have to check, they get so anxious that the only way of getting out of that anxiety is doing that action, which closes the cycle, because next time when anxiety will come, you will be still less strong to say no. And the second big symptom is tolerance. When you're addicted, you need to consume more the substance or the action, or not only more action, more frequently, but more intense. Alcohol of more graduation, tobacco with more nicotine, or in the case of pornography, and this is one of the causes of the abuses, a harder content. Apart from that, the DSM-5 speak about higher consumption than expected, unsuccessful attempts to control himself, how much time she spends, consequences from a social, laboral, or recreational dimension, are continued use despite awareness of the problem. So that can help us, as we said the other day, not to do the diagnosis, but to say, I think that this person seems to accomplish more or less 3 of these criteria from a long time. So perhaps the problem is not just to say work in mortification, because you can grow in virtues when you are free. When you are not free, you cannot gain virtues. So you lost your freedom, you lost the possibility of growing from a moral point of view. In all these such kinds of addiction, the activity of the brain, or the damage of the brain, is very similar. It is the famous circuit of reward that is led by dopamine. It is the same for heroin, cocaine, gambling, pornography, and so. And it has consequences. Obviously, now we are speaking specifically about pornography, and it has consequences both from a moral point of view, it is evident, but also from a psychological point of view. The very fact of being an addict, the alteration of the experience of sexuality, that what somebody calls a pornified view, the difficulty to see the person that they have in front, instead of seeing her from a sexualized point of view, even an unknown person. But it is still more difficult in marriage. And pornography is one of the most important causes of a failure in marriage in the United States. Why? Because it does not only call to see and enjoy, it calls also to put in action what they see. But as everything that you see in the screens, these images or these scenes or those videos are false, because they are actors who are doing things so as to stimulate you and so as to provoke you feelings or stimulation, and so. In the same way that when we see Tom Cruise guiding a car, if you go out from this house and you try and drive the car in the same way as Tom Cruise, probably you will have an accident in the first corner. So, but some people do not know that, and then they want to enjoy sex in marriage in the same way that they see in the pornography. And it is very frustrating, because the partner is not a professional. And in pornography, there are not languages that are very human and very natural in family life, like waiting, like I have a headache, like I don't like now, as wait. It does not exist in pornography. So when young people access to these contents, they have an early sexualization and a hypersexualization. And we find boys or girls who are not still adolescents, so from a physiological point of view, they shouldn't have those concerns, those curiosities, that have a lot of curiosities that are in some way artificial or provoked. And then it is very difficult for them to change the ideas. A person who had contact with the internet with the bodily aspect of sexuality, it is very difficult for them to understand that below that there is affection, there is a human relationship. Then when you take that person and they are 15, 20 and so, and they have been watching those scenes for the last 20, 15 years, and they have not had a pure vision of sexuality, it is very difficult for them to control themselves and to understand that there is more than body in sexuality. then the excitability threshold is increased, which means that people need more stimuli to get excited, and a normal stimuli, like can be in family life, in marriage, can not be enough for them, and then family marriage life becomes unsatisfactory. And then worse that what do the person, male, but not only, they go to the internet, and the wife understand that as a betrayal. You prefer the screen than me. Or still worse, they go to professionals, because professionals can do what my wife cannot do. Also, as you don't learn to control yourself, there is an increased cases of violence and abuse. Illnesses, financial expenses, legal problems, and problems in the future. So we're going to finish more or less quickly with some ideas to help us, or to help the people who have this problem. Now we are in the third frame, which is for people who is more or less out of control. They need to use the internet in a visible way. So they have to, they said at the beginning, if you want to get to be free, you have to do renounces. You have to renounce to things. If you want to regain your freedom, you need to do harder choices, and you need to lose time, and you have to accept incommodities so as to regain your freedom. One basic aspect is not to put your cell phone or laptop inside your room. Use a study room, go to a public library, but don't enter into your room with several cell phone. It is specifically important in general, not only in difficult cases, for families. A question that family do usually is, when can I buy the first cell phone to my children? And I don't have a question. It has pros and cons, but I have an advice, which is, in the child's room after 9-10 p.m. enter or the cell phone or the internet, if you have Wi-Fi data and so, because probably you don't have the possibility that your adolescent boy or girl have some access to the internet. If he doesn't do it inside the house, unfortunately, with he or she will do it with their friends. Your responsibility is that your child do not become an addict. And people do not become an addict at 5 p.m. or 11 a.m. They become addict from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. That is the difficulty. That is the moment in which they are out of control, mainly if they are closed in their rooms. So do as you want. Cancel the Wi-Fi for all the house, take him or her the cell phone, explain why, and it is very there is not an age, because it depends on how responsible he is. Look, you are very nice, my child, but you have demonstrated me that you cannot organize your time, because your closet, because your homework, because the time that you arrive house, because how you let your room when you are out. So if in these easy things you cannot organize yourself, you have not control of yourself, I'm sure that you are not still ready to manage a cell phone, and they want to protect you. So if the child trusts his father, it will be easier for him to say yes, to accept. Obviously, he or she won't like it at all, but that is another problem. Parents have also to learn to do things that the children do not like, because it is their daddy, they are the parents. Then when you have this problem, you should install filters of contents. We have spoken about safe mode, but it is not strong enough. You have to buy this. I know one that they have recommended me, which is called custodio.com. That is very strict with the contents that you can have access to. Also, it is good to install apps blockers. So, because we need the cell phone, but the cell phone is so wide that I am going to use it only for these few apps or uses. And so as not to access to other contents, my mentor, it is important when you are in any kind of addiction, it is very difficult to go out by yourself. You need a mentor. It can be the spiritual director, it can be a psychologist, it can be an expert or whoever. So the mentor is the one who has the passwords in case you need to unblock an app or install a new one. There are also in the internet blockers of websites who are very useful for the people who have specifically problems with pornography. Because when they are weak, they seek the pages and they know which are the pages, the sites in which they can find those contents. But when they are still uncontrite, then they say this a blocker. Don't let me anymore to enter this page. There are a lot more pages, but at least they are putting barriers in entering the contents. Use accountability. It is very American. And in Europe, people are very surprised that this thing can exist. Covenant eyes.
Did you see accountability?
Accountability. Yeah. This Covenant eyes is a program in which some people who want to support one another enter together. And then when some of the members enter into a website that Covenant Eyes has recognizes as dangerous, all the other members of the group receive a message. This is entering. And so obviously he will receive a lot of calls, WhatsApp, and so say, hey, we are with you, like in Anonymous Alcoholics. It can be very humiliating, which means you need to be very motivated to enter in that. But I have known adolescents that enter into that, and also families that say, we are the covenant. I'm going to give you the cell phone because you need it, even if you are 12, but you have so many activities and you are out of house and I need to have you located and you need to have me located so as to I drive you and I pick you up from the school, from the sports and so, okay, but we are a team. And all the members of the family, also that mom and the other brother, if he lives into below their roof, we are all members of Covenant Eyes to protect one another. Also to protect your dad, because it is for an adolescent, it opens the eyes of reality. Your dad also receives temptations, and we are also going to help him. You can say he doesn't. He usually doesn't have a problem, but sometimes he can have. So we want to help you and to help him. Then there are accountability systems who are not so open, that is not a group of people, but only the app itself that protects, like these two, Antifab and Fortify. It is the apps that tell you, hey, I have realized that you have entered that, pay attention. Then the Light phone is a very simple phone that has all the or what you need in a cell phone, and the publicity is very nice because the publicity is you will use me very, very little. you will be always located, but you will be use me, and then the image is a father playing with the kids. And then sometimes you need to go to a specialist that should be mostly a psychologist than a psychiatrist. But if the person is really inside an addiction, probably he or she will need medication. So in this case, either if it is something behavioral and you think that probably the first option would be a psychologist, probably he will need a psychiatrist, so as to take medication that help her to lower the level of anxiety, to check if there are also other symptoms as depression. Many people enter into that because they are blue, depressed, and the only moment of gratification is when they are in discontents. If you don't go to the basis, to the core of the problem, you only will patch the problem, and it will be not enough. Many of the therapies include group therapy, because for addictions it has been demonstrated that group therapy is the best choice. And the objective is obviously to be free to do what you want, to be free to have a virtuous life, to be productive in your job, and to enjoy all your relationships. So thank you very much. We can stop here, and we have a 5 minutes break.